This tool works very well to remove that tiny gap of material in between the back leg. Hey guys, welcome to the next episode of Tinkering with Tiny Humans. We have my tiny human Jacob right here.
Hi.
And my tiny human Lainey right here. And today we have decided to do some soap carving. So I have a template right here that I got off the interwebs, and I'll give you a couple links to some fun ones. There's a million of them out there. And you need some kind of pokey tool. So we decided to use this owl right here, or a scribe.
Owl?
Awl, A-W-L.
Or this.
Yeah, awl. Yeah, so this is a pokey tool. Or toothpick will work. Yeah, that one's okay. It's a little stabby, but yeah, that'll work. And then some kind of knife. You can use anything. You can use a pocket knife, a dedicated tool that's made for whittling that fits in your hand. A butter knife kind of works, but it gives you some... Yeah, it does kind of work. Now I found that the Ivory Soap works the best because it's like whipped, so it doesn't have as hard of a consistency, but you might want to try some other types. The other nice thing about the Ivory Soap is that the logo isn't very deep, so when you're doing your carving, you don't have to go too deep to get the logo to be obscured. It's also fairly rectangular. Some of the other ones have a big curve or dish shape to them, and it makes it a little more challenging to carve with. What we're going to do right now in this step is we're going to take each of these template views, and there's a front, side, back, and bottom view, and we're going to lay them on top of our soap, and we are going to use our pokey bit, and we're going to make an outline of that template. And even the features that aren't the outline need some pokey bits, because you're going to want to remove some material later to show where the ear is, and where the hip is, and all the other features that give it three-dimensional quality. So we're doing both the outline and the inside features with our pokey bit. You don't have to go super deep, as long as it's deep enough that you can recognize it from the surrounding material. And also, if you go super deep, sometime it'll fracture the soap and you'll break a chunk off, and that's never fun to deal with. So Lainey in our household is our most skilled crafter. But Jake decided that he would give this a try too because it seemed like a fun activity. So even if you're not normally a crafter, sometimes it's just fun to put a knife in your hand and make something. And if you're out in the woods, you can pick up any stick you want and just start making something. Be creative. I have the full outline made, and now I'm going to do some of the other views using the different templates as well. Now, when you put the other templates in place, it's important that you try to align the different features. So we want the nose on the side view to be aligned with the nose on the front view, so that when we carve the three-dimensional shape, those features can mate up together.
One question.
Yes, Elena?
How are we going to make it if it's a little bit off?
If it's a little bit off, we'll just use our creativity to shape it into a dog face.
Okay.
That's a cute looking dog right there.
I can't see its eye. There's its eye, I think.
Well, looking good. All right. Excellent. All right, so I don't know that I am skilled enough to make all of these features look really accurate. So I'm just going to do the front view, the side view, and the back view. And however the back turns out, it turns out. So now that we have all of our layout marks on our soap figure, there's a couple different ways that you can do your carving. So one activity or one technique is to carve away from your body, which is generally the safest. So you're going to put the knife into the soap, engage the soap, and whittle away. The other thing you can do is called a paring cut, and it's generally safe. They make little thumb guards for it, but most of the time you don't need them. So what you do is you place your thumb onto the workpiece and use that as a brace, and then you pull the knife toward your thumb. And even if it's a sharp knife, when you just touch it head on, it's not going to slice you. It's when you move your finger longitudinally across the blade that you could cut yourself. So a paring cut always uses your thumb as a support. You place your thumb somewhere on the workpiece, you put your knife away from the thumb, and then you pull the knife into contact with your thumb. And you can get some very good control using a paring cut. And some other cuts you can do is a V-cut. So when you need to make a deep recess into something, you can take the blade, cut it at a 45-degree angle, cut it at a 45-degree angle, and then flick out the waste material. That's a V-cut. And then we also have some specialty tools here. Yeah, you can use this. Yeah, lost one. Some of these specialty tools will let you cut out cylindrical features or V-grooves or all kinds of neat stuff. So you can use these tools and you can rest them on your hand and make some detailed cuts that way. So we can all share these tools, but we have our own primary knife as well. So one thing that I just discovered now, and I probably should have known this, even though I made the pattern on the top and the bottom, all that is going to be removed when I do my rough cutting of the profile of it. So we're just going to have to hold it as a picture to find it.
You don't have to do it in reverse because you could just poke deeper.
Yeah, if you poke deeper, what happens is the soap usually fractures. So if we cut super deep, it gets like that. Yeah. But yeah, flipping it over is another way. So anywho, what I discovered is I wasted a little bit of effort because placing the figure on top to give that profile, when I'm roughing out the features of it, it's going to all be removed. So I'm going to have to come back to it later, hold it on top, and kind of visualize in my mind where I want to make some cuts. And when you're doing all of these carving activities, you're going to have a lot of waste material, and you can do one or two things with that waste material. You could either smash it into a new bar shape and use it in your shower, or if you use a small amount of water and put it in a saucepan, you can remelt it down into another bar that you can use for more carving activities. So don't throw it away. It's definitely not truly waste because we can always repurpose and reuse our leftover soap material. What's the trickiest part? Oh, you're still poking, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd say poking now.
Poking is the trickiest part so far?
Yes.
Oh, you're finished poking already?
I'm not.
No, him. How?
Well, I discovered that after I did this cut, I wouldn't have any of my pokes on the top, so I decided not to do the rest of them. You seem to do better when you put your material on the board and then cut down into the board with a real knife. That seems to not scare you as much. So why don't we get you a real knife? There should be, oh, here. As long as you're cutting down into the board, you should be fine. So when you guys do your back legs on your dog, this tool works very well to remove that tiny gap of material in between the back leg. So I'll save this one for you when you get to it.
Dang it, I cut off its leg somehow. It's a legless dog.
You can use water and put it back on.
Yeah. So they suggest using a toothpick, and you can make a little hole into it, and then you could stick it on with the toothpick and some water.
I'll forget which one is the leg.
There we go.
Oh. Okay.
So we're going to use some water as an adhesive here. If we break something off, we're going to put some water there. And then we're going to take this piece on there, we're going to wiggle it, and then we're going to make sure it's aligned. And as long as you work on the other parts for a little bit, this should rebond back together. I don't think that she will break any more pieces, so I probably won't have the opportunity.
And it broke off. Right when you said that.
Awesome. So if you break off a piece accidentally, you can just take a little bit of water as an adhesive, put it on your broken area, and then reposition the broken part, squeeze it, and if you let that sit for a little bit while you work on other parts, it should rebond back together. It won't be super durable, but you'll have your piece back together. And since it's cheap, the other option is always to just start over again. If your canvas size on a bar of Ivory Soap is not big enough for you, check out these super ginormous soap bars. They sell these at Walmart for about $1 a piece, and it's Zote or Zote, I don't know which, but they smell like, what? No, Zote, yeah. They smell like citronella. They're really, really nice. I think that they are a Mexican brand of laundry bar. And these are only $1 a piece as well. And this is a substantial chunk of soap if you need to do bigger projects. So these deep spots in the recesses, those are good for the V-cut we were talking about before. You can just whittle your knife in at a 45-degree angle from 2 different directions, and it'll remove a lot of material without risking breaking the piece off. And then we can also use this semicircular tool like we talked about before to get into some of the tight corners as well. When you're carving the side shake, don't cut straight down where the dots are because you're going to want there to be some radius or curve to the body. And if you cut straight down where the dots are, then it'll just be flat across the top. So stay about 1/4 inch away from where the dots are, and that way you can round the body into a rounded shape. I don't, or Jake? Jake knows what radius is.
No, I don't think you do. Okay. Radius is half of the circle.
Portion of a circle.
No, the radius is the distance through the circle, I'm pretty sure.
No,
diameter is the distance through the circle.
Oh wait.
Radius is
half of it. Yeah.
From the center point to.
Oh.
Well, that's true, but when you describe a shape, you set the radius of how much of the curve is. So for instance, this handle we would say has a radius of about 1/4 inch from the center line to that curvy shape. And this bevel on the edge of this table has a radius of about 1/32 of an inch. So you're basically describing just how steep that curve is on the perimeter by describing it as a distance. It's pretty common in like mechanical drawings and stuff. It'll set a radius that tells you how steep or how shallow that curvy part is.
Should I start like trimming this off?
Yeah, but that's what I was talking about. See how you cut straight back where the dots are? It's going to be hard to make his back rounded now, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. You can kind of make him a little skinnier and make a little bit of a rounded area there. You can use the point of your knife as a tool to make some of the highlight features. So that's how I'm carving out his ear shape. See? Floppy ear. Do you take off too much of his head? Oh dear.
That leg keeps falling.
Yeah.
This leg.
Maybe we wait until the end to put the leg back on.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's fine.
Watch this works.
All right, so that's
It's
that.
just.
It looks perfect, you mean?
I can't stand it. It looks creepy.
What are you doing?
I don't know what I'm doing.
Remember, you can't cut through a big chunk like that without risking cracking.
My
You got to
bad.
take off a little bit at a time. And given your past ability to gauge this, you should say, I will always remove half of what I think I should. There you go.
No, like an 8.
Or 1,000.
I think the tail is the most dangerous part of this.
That's why I got to it first.
Yeah, so we're going to do some V-cuts to define that tail. I've decided it is beyond my skill level to make it three-dimensionally correct from the front view and the back view because I don't know how to taper it enough to make it not fall apart. And one technique that you can use to take off small amounts is you can hold the knife at a 90-degree angle to the workpiece and you can shave off little bits almost like you're peeling butter off of a stick. And that really helps to make some nice rounded edges.
Or you could just use this tool.
Yes, but that takes off huge chunks. So check this out. Look, if I want to take off just a little ribbon, look how much it took off.
Yeah.
Little ribbon took off. Just keep doing that. That'll help you shape it and make them all roundy.
How much carving did it take to get a dog?
It's a lot of work. What's even more amazing is some of the ancient artworks, like sculptures and stuff. You can't make any mistakes when you do that because there's no way to put the material back on. If you break off an arm, it's just missing an arm. And that's just the way of it.
Kind of like that one statue.
There's probably a lot of statues that are missing arms. Some sculptures are called a bust, and it's just the torso and head, so they're made to not have any arms. But other ancient ones had the arms broken off over time just because, well, you know, they're super duper old. All right, guys, so we're all done, cleaned up, and we have examples of our finished product here. And we're gonna move Lainey's very delicately because her limbs are a little bit detached, but we'll fix those later. Elena, so what is your favorite thing about the project, your least favorite thing about the project, and what would you do differently next time? What'd you learn?
Favorite part about the project was, well, technically the only thing about the project. I like soap carving.
You like soap carving. That was really not specific. What about the soap carving was your favorite part? Working with your hands, the way it smelled, making something look super lifelike. What was your favorite part?
Using the butter knife.
Using the butter knife. Okay. What did you find to be tricky, or what was the hardest part?
Probably cutting.
Cutting?
I forgot to do these little edges.
Yeah.
Just like,
And the other thing is when you make really deep cuts, sometimes parts can crack off, huh? And what would you do next time to make it turn out better?
maybe do like slice.
Take off a little at a time.
Little at a time.
It's a great idea.
But how we can, I'm still thinking.
Okay.
Wait.
What about you, Jake? What was the best thing, worst thing, and what would you do differently?
My favorite part was maybe working with the soap. My least favorite part was that everything fell off. And the thing I would do differently would be I would probably not make very deep cuts next time.
Those are great observations. Cool. Well, I really thought it was fun. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We're just getting started, so please like and subscribe so that we can start to get our view count up, and maybe that'll allow us to do some more fun projects with you more frequently. There'll be links to many of the tools we used that were from Amazon, and we'll also try to provide you with some examples of some templates so you don't have to spend time searching for those as well. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye!